Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Upper Peninsula Beautiful. You're looking at the Tequamanon River. This is where it empties out into Whitefish Bay. There's a family of swans out here. I don't oftentimes see swans here in the UP, but I'm going to head to Whitefish Point and do a beach video today. That's one side of the road. There's Whitefish Bay to the other side of the road. It's a super nice morning. We had strong northwest winds yesterday, and it's going to be out of the south today. So let's get to the beach and see what we can find. If you can see, if you can tell, the winds that we had, the waves washed all the way up to the top of the beach. So all this is fresh, and maybe the tracks that I've been seeing were Uper hunters late last night or early this morning. Oh. That's a really piece of epidote or unikite. I guess it's unikite. It has a little red, but mostly green. That's really pretty. I can't wait to spend some time with these rocks. Oh, what's that? That's beautiful. I think it's going to be a good day. Thank you for coming along. Look at that piece of driftwood I just saw. I wonder if that's a big log sticking out on the top, or if it's just on the top. Nope, it's buried deep underground. That's a beautiful piece. Look at how clearly you can see the growth rings. Each one of these little lines is a growth ring. One ring per year. And then if you find a section where you can see all of them, you can actually count how old the tree is. I'm guessing this tree probably 75 years old. Very cool stuff. So when I was a guide in Alaska, I learned a very interesting fact about the trees out there. I just showed you guys the growth rings in that piece of driftwood that I found. I learned in Ketchikan, Alaska, where we were based out of, that you can actually tell how good a salmon run was, how many fish were in the salmon run, if it was a high amount of salmon or a low amount of salmon. You can tell that for hundreds of years by finding an old tree, an old cedar tree on the side of one of these salmon rivers, and if it was broken off or if you cut it open, each growth ring on a tree, what's that? Chalcedony, mystery rock. Every year, the growth ring grows. It is the size and the width of the growth ring is determined by the amount of nutrients that tree got on any given year. So if a tree got a lot of nutrients one year, a growth ring is going to be wider than on a year where the tree didn't get a lot of nutrients. And on the salmon streams, when the salmon spawn, then they die and they end up washing up on the shore and producing nutrients for the trees. So if there was a high run of salmon one particular year, there would be more dead fish along the banks of these rivers, and the trees along those rivers would have more nutrients in the soil, and vice versa. Hey, is this a mystery rock or a pudding stone? No, I think that's a piece of concrete. Anyway, so if there was a year of a salmon run that had very few salmon, the growth ring on the corresponding tree will be smaller. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. These rocks are really pretty. Look at those big rocks in that next pile. Let's go look at those. I'm going to try to walk real slow so you guys can see these rocks. Maybe even go slower and closer to the ground. I know on my last video when I had my daughter and her friend, it was a pretty hectic day. They were finding stones left and right. We were laughing and talking and running around. It was kind of challenging to make a video, but it certainly was a lot of fun, and my daughter wants to go again. Any of these stones, any of these rocks, any of these patches of stones could produce a banded agate. So far, I've been out here a half an hour or so, and I haven't seen one yet. But I'm confident that we will. You guys see the beautiful piece of unakite? Shaped like a shark's tooth. That one is my Christmas unakite. That is red and green. That one's traveling. Oh, what's this? Ah. That might be a piece of jasper, but it also looks kind of like unakite. Maybe I'll save that one too. Right down there is one of my favorite things, one of my favorite rocks, the magnetite. This one has a lot of the red and the black and the patches. That's really pretty. I have a feeling today is going to be a day of the interesting rocks. What do you say? But look at how many rocks we have to look at. As you saw in my last couple videos, there's a lot of cabins along this stretch of beach. Lots and lots of them. But I think most of them are summer cabins, and probably not many live year-round. So I'm guessing, though, this beach probably gets pretty picked in the summertime. I bet today it's going to be fairly calm and quiet as far as other hunters. I just saw something in the rocks here. It's not an agate, but it sure is a pretty piece of purple glass. Or cobalt. That's really pretty. Don't find a lot of that. But it would be nice today to have this beach just us. Just you guys and myself. That would be nice. I'm really missing Vermilion Point. I haven't been there since I went with Rob. That was weeks ago. My truck died about a month and a half ago. And Vermilion is my favorite beach. But these are all fresh, all turned over from the big set of waves. So we could find a really good agate here. And like I said in other videos, I haven't given this beach much thought or much attention. It might have just as many good agates as Vermilion. We'll find out. I love these waves. Oh, way out yonder, there's a ship. And it's kind of white, kind of looks like a ghost ship. I'll try to zoom in, but I'm not very good at that. There it is. Thanks for coming along. Down here at my feet, I think I just found the nicest piece of gneiss I've ever found. I'm not sure if that's nice, but it looks like it. I'll have to ask Rob from Michigan Rocks. I wanted to ask you guys if there's any of you out there that are into bird watching, that know your birds, that study your birds. When I filmed the video intro this morning with the swans, at one point, I think it was my take 2 version, a bright teal green duck flew by. It flew by and the sun was low in the sky and it was lighting up the wings. It looked like a teal green light bulb flying by. Does any of you know what kind of a duck? Oh, what's that? low-grade agate or banded shirt. Does any of you know what kind of a duck might be migrating through this area that has a lot of teal green on it? If you guys know, if somebody knows, leave me a comment because I sure would like to know what I saw. I got it on film, but I botched the video. Leave me a comment. I love looking up here, up in the high, dry rocks. You guys can see the patterns in the sand. The waves came up over these rocks and then sucked the sand down. Any one of these waves that landed up here could have uncovered an agate that's been covered for a long time. When I see rocks way up like this and I don't see footprints, it's one of my favorite places to hunt. But I also like hunting the water. That looks like a nice example of porphyritic basalt. There's some beautiful crystals in there. When I was here a couple weeks ago, the first video I made after deciding to not keep near as many agates, to leave agates and Omarlux on the beach for others, I found quite a few agates that day, and there were far fewer rocks than today. Now today, we have far more rocks, and I haven't found a single agate yet. But not because there's not choices to look at. There's plenty of choices. We got quite a few rocks up here. And then I think there's quite a few past that break wall. We'll see. I wanted to mention, I discovered a couple weeks ago a YouTube channel called Sweet Treasures by Cindy. She's up in Ontario somewhere. I believe she hunts the shore of Lake Huron. And in one of her latest videos, she had found a granite, I believe, with an X in the pattern, X pattern in the rock. And I had made a comment about it. Over the years, I've found a few stones with different letters, either by banding or fractures, but I found different letters in rocks. And she said that next summer she's going to try to see how many letters and numbers she can find throughout the season. But if you haven't seen her channel, Sweet Treasures by Cindy, she's very knowledgeable about the fossils. Her video production is really, really good. She does a great job. And maybe sometime her and I can get together and do a Lake Superior agate hunt. Or maybe I can get down to Lake Huron and do a fossil hunt. But awesome channel. Check it out. I want to give you guys a little bit of perspective. What you're looking at, all those rocks by that big bank right there, and all those rocks right there, way up high on the beach by those trees, they weren't there 2 weeks ago. And right over here on this little point, that was filled with rocks 2 weeks ago, and now they're all gone. So just a couple days of winds can change the shore dramatically. I just looked all up there. I didn't find any agates, but all that was just sand. That bank came down a little bit. Look at how close that cabin is to that bank. They're going to have to put in more rocks. And then all these rocks right here, none of these were here either. So pretty exciting stuff. So again, that sand bank actually came all the way down here and was along this row of rocks. So I would say 8-10 feet, 5 or 6 feet here, gotten taken away by that one set of windstorms. That cabin is dangerously close to coming into the lake. But I have a lot of rocks to look at, so I'm excited. Here's another perspective for you. A couple weeks ago, I was on this stretch of beach when I was talking to you guys about my hewing timbers. This beach had a pile of rocks, and now there's almost nothing. What a big difference a few windstorms can make. There again, my theory is that all the rocks drift from west to east. So probably back where I just was, and there was a pile of rocks. 2 weeks ago there wasn't. 2 weeks ago there was a pile of rocks here, and now there's not. So they probably drifted down there. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Look at this big piece of driftwood sticking out of the water. Boy, if one were to cut that off at the base, they could make a huge dining room table out of that thing. Oh, wouldn't that be sweet? Look at the spiral grain on that piece of driftwood. That looks like pine, but that's the same kind of spiral grain as a hard maple would have. I think we found our first agate. Let's see if you guys can see it. Wait, it's not there. There it is. Looks like it has some bands, a little bit of lace. Let's get this wet. Yep, it is agate. It's kind of a seam agate. It has the host rock on top, not on the bottom. Kind of an unusual color, teal blue, green. That's pretty. There goes for the next guy. I just spotted a tip of an agate sticking out of a rock. It's really pretty. Pretty blues and reds. See if it'll come in. There we go. I'm going to leave it here, but it's nice to see. So far, we found a lot of cool. Oh, look at this feather. Look at how bright yellow that is. That's cool. Anyways, we found 2 partials, and we haven't found a gem quality yet, but I'm thinking that point might do some good. Okay, so I'm thoroughly impressed. This patch of stone starts right here and goes all the way down there to that little point. None of these were here 2 weeks ago. Even these big rocks have moved. There could be an agate in this pile. Let's go check it out. So I just finished the path of rocks in the water. I'm going to finish right here and then head back the other direction. Way up there I see another point of rocks that I might go check out, but I'm going to hike a little bit here first in the dry. Thought I'd mention I was pretty disappointed last night late when the 2 seemingly ideal cars for me fell through. Both of the owners texted me within a half an hour time period that somebody had came out, looked at them, and gave them the money and bought them. So I was super disappointed this morning, and even last night, that it's not easy to find a reliable piece of transportation for $4 grand or less. That's a pretty short list of what's out there, and if you want 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, that list gets a lot shorter. So I thought I found the perfect vehicle, and they both sold, so I was disappointed. I do know that even though to me they looked ideal, God knows what's inside of them, the motors, the transmission. He knew what they would be like 10 miles down the road. And I also have to be thankful that if I would have gone to Traverse City today to buy either of those 2 vehicles, I wouldn't have been able to make this beach video. I wouldn't have stumbled upon this huge pile of rocks that have not been looked at since the storm. So I'm pretty thankful about that. I'm pretty happy that I'm getting to take you guys out here today and make this beach video and see these rocks and driftwood. And I'm also hopeful that after I get back to the Sault Ste. Marie area, I'm confident that the Lord will provide a vehicle, and maybe even one this week. So I'm hoping that the very next video that I show you guys, that I film, I'm hoping and I'm praying that it'll be at Vermilion, and I'll have gotten there with my new set of wheels. So thank you for coming along this morning. Thank you for checking out this big pile of stones with me. I'm going to pause it and see what we find. So thank you, Lord, that the cards fell through and the right one is right down the road. So we got some, I'm guessing, coyote tracks or fox tracks. I want to share something with you guys. I've been an agate hunter for over 40 years. Many of you know that. If you're new to the channel, thank you for finding us and coming out with us. What I wanted to say is, in all my years of agate hunting, one of the most exciting things that can happen, of course, you know, finding a good agate is always exciting. But when you find a patch of stones like this from a recent windstorm that haven't been looked at, knowing that 2 weeks ago this was a sand beach and now it's all these rocks, just the hope, just the excitement of knowing that we could find an awesome agate that has not been seen in a pile of rocks, that has not been seen for years and years and years, that to me is super exciting. I'm even more exciting now that I started this YouTube channel, because you guys get to come along. So if we find anything, you guys get to find it too. That gets me even more excited. What's that? Nothing much. So I'm excited with this big pile of stones. And I've made 2 paths so far. I'm going to do this last path up high, and then I'm going to head down to that other batch of rocks. But thank you for coming along. And again, if you're new, thank you for joining us and finding us. We're here to have some fun. One way you can tell these rocks are fresh is when the waves recede, there's a thin layer of sand that will cling to the rocks. But if you touch the rock, the sand falls off. Or if it rains or if the wind blows, the sand falls off. So we know that these are super fresh because there's a light coating of sand on the surface of the rocks. Just found a really pretty banded rock. Where did it go? There it is. Pattern in that is beautiful. Wow, that looks like something you'd see out in Arizona. I think I'll take that one home. A few more rocks to look at in this big pile. Look at the beauty of the sand. You got the black sand mixed with the white sand, and then you got the pattern that the waves made, sucking the sand down into this little bowl here. To me, it's super beautiful. And again, this black sand, if I had my gold pan, it would have gold in it. For those of you that might be new to the channel, in one of my earlier videos, I talked about when I was 16 years old, I was up here on vacation with my parents. They dropped me off at Whitefish Point, which is back to the west of us. Oh, there's another freighter out there. That's a 1,000-footer. Anyway, I hiked from Whitefish Point to Wildcat Road or the Township Park. And on the way on that hike, probably another half a mile past that point, I found my largest agate ever, 1.76 pounds. Beautiful banded Lake Superior agate. And a couple years later, it got stolen. You'll have to watch that video. Oh, there's a beautiful piece of unakite. Oh, what's that? What's that? Did we find an agate? It looks like it. Yes, we did. That's really pretty. Got some quartz. It's got some clarity, some fine bands. Thank you, Lord. That was fun to find. But anyways, it was this stretch of beach that I found my biggest agate ever. Most of my agates have come from Vermilion, and I hope to get there soon. But my biggest one came from this beach. See that? There's our first whole rock Omarluck of the day. Maybe I'll take that along and give it to somebody at Whitefish Point. There's always a lot of people at Whitefish Point. And that agate that we just found, I put in my pocket. I'll also give that one to somebody. I love watching those big freighters. Like I said, that one's like 1,000 feet or 1,004, 1,002. I just love the ships. Also, if you're new, you'll find out very quickly that I love driftwood and I just love wood in general. The grain is so beautiful. It's just gorgeous with the sand and the rocks, all the knots. This is one beautiful piece. I think that driftwood is God's artwork. Last time I came this way, I was trying to find a piece of striated sandstone. I just found one. I think this stuff is super, super cool. I have one that Rob gave me and one that I found. This one is probably not as good as the other two, but I'm going to keep it. And then over here, down here, we have a figure 8 rock. I'm going to give that to Sweet Treasures by Cindy. So I'm definitely here down by the water's edge, looking in the water, near the water, but it's pretty treacherous. These rollers are just coming in and they got big breakers. It's calm out there except for these rollers, so it's really hard to see in the water. And if I saw one, I'd have to grab it with my hand and not my scoop, so I can't really film this very much. I'm going to hightail it back to Whitefish Point and then go to the east where I took my daughter and her friend Layla. And it should be calmer over there. Oh, there's a really pretty magnetite. Should be better looking conditions in the water over there. I know the surface, the rocks on the beach will have been looked over. There was quite a few hunters that way, but I'm going to give the water a shot. So I'm going to pause this until we get further down the beach. There's another freighter heading out to sea. That one might be the Edwin H. Gott. If you know your ships, leave me a comment. In the background, that's Gros Cap Point in Ontario, Canada. I think I'll mention, if you see the bow of the ship, let's see if I can get a little bit closer. Not very well, but you'll see a white wave in front of the ship. When the ship is traveling through the water, they call that a bone in her teeth. I think those big 1,000-footers can do about 14 kilometers or 14 nautical knots per hour. I think maybe 18 knots unloaded. That one looks to be like it's unloaded. It's probably going to head to Duluth to pick up some ore. Here's a little interesting fact. When a ship like that is carrying cargo and it sits low in the water, they call that being heavy laden. I think that one is not filled with anything. Like I said, I think it's empty. But if it were full, it would be heavy laden. I'm back to this little point of rocks. This was the first good point of rocks that I came to this morning. I'm getting closer to being back probably 3/4 of a mile past that point to the lighthouse, and then I'm going to head the other direction. As an agate hunter this morning, I would not be considered heavy laden with agates. Well, here's something I missed this morning. It's got some bits of agate in there. Looks kind of pretty on the phone here. That's something. That's awful big. If I put that in my pocket, I would definitely be heavy laden. I just found something kind of pretty. Look at that. That's not big, but it's clear. Let's see. That's really pretty. when I was a kid, about 14 or 15, there was one of these cabins along here. There's a cabin right over there, and then there was a couple cabins down there. I can't remember which one it was, but this family had owned that cabin it'd been in their family for a long time. And one June, they came out for the summer vacation, and they noticed a shipwreck somewhere off their beach in the water, somewhere along the stretch of beach, not too far away. They had only ever seen it one time. They did some research on it. It was not a documented shipwreck. And we were there in June, and they showed us where it was. Ooh, there's some strong wind. Anyway, we spent a whole week when we were up here on vacation. We would go to that thing almost every day and snorkel on it, dive on it, swim around it. It was right off there somewhere. And then after that June, it got covered up by the sand, and it's never been seen again. That shipwreck, I should mention, it was about 50 or 60 feet long. It was a steam-powered vessel. Some of the steam engine was intact. Just the hull of the ship was mostly there, but there was this part of the steam engine. I just spotted an agate, believe it or not. Looks kind of pretty, but we're gonna have to get it wet. My younger brother and I swam on that shipwreck every day that week, and we were looking around we wanted to find treasure. We wanted to find a sack of gold, or a treasure chest of gold. Oh, I don't know if you can see it with this lighting, but that whole back side is banded. Maybe I can get a better angle. That's really pretty. I don't know if can you see that or not. That's a nice agate. That'd be one that I could give away and show somebody what the bands look like. Thank you, Lord. Straight ahead, about a quarter of a mile, is the pylons. Over there is the lighthouse. I'm gonna walk the dry, kind of slow back. I was down by the water this morning. These rocks are amazing. They're all completely fresh. We just found that one nice banded one up here in the dry, and there's even more stones here. I'm still hoping to be able to go east from the lighthouse a little bit, and I'd love to get into the water. But we have some beautiful stones to look up here. Oh, there's one. There's a little guy. Really pretty. Look at that, just sitting there saying, "Hey, Dan. Hey, Upper Peninsula Beautiful, come pick me up." Ah, a lot of sand on that guy. That is really pretty. That is a pretty little guy. I can get it to focus. That was fun to find. I'm gonna leave it right here for somebody else to come find it. I'm gonna pause the camera until I get back to the other side where we can get in the water. That way I can hunt these really quick. I just had a thought, and when I had a thought, I saw something here in the water. This is banded iron formation. Sometimes there's hematite in it that really shines and sparkles. My thought is that this wind is coming out of the southeast, and it's probably forming some waves coming across the greater Whitefish Bay. The other side of this point faces south, and so the wind will probably be making waves over there. It won't have the residual waves like I'm dealing with on this side from the big windstorm, but it'll have waves making ripples in the water, so it might not be easy to see over there. So I'm filming these rocks, and then also I only have an hour before I gotta leave so I can go get the kids on time from school. But thank you for coming along. We've had a good day so far, and we're not done yet. We're here by the pylons here, and I just spotted something down in the water right by this log. You guys see that? Oh man, that's where it lay. Nice. Let's get that out of the water and look at it. Wow. Look at the pretty bands on that. That's beautiful. I'm gonna chuck it over there, give it to somebody else. It's gonna be really windy, but not many places in the world can you be on the same body of water and on one side have these huge waves and wind, and on the other side, which is gonna be hard, over there is calm and no wind. I was over there about a half a mile as the crow flies. This is amazing. We are at the very tip of Whitefish Point, and I'm sure it's very windy. I'm almost ready to be done for the day. It's so beautiful. Here we are on the windy side, and I think we spotted an agate. That looks good to me. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. That is the find of the day. Thank you, Lord, for that. We're going to find a good home for this one. Let's try this one more time. Welcome back, everybody. We made it back to Whitefish Point. This is where we started. We started this morning and hiked to the west. There wasn't much wind at that time. There was breakers coming in. I wasn't able to get in the water very much, but we saw some huge piles of stones. We had the chance of finding a big one. We did find a couple small ones. It was a super lot of fun. Glad you guys came with us. We got to see those neat freighters and some cool driftwood. It was a whole lot of fun. Then we went back to the lighthouse and then ventured to the east. And as soon as we got around that point, the waves came in, the winds picked up, it got cold, loud. We hunted about 5 minutes and then found that super good agate. And I think I have a special plan for that agate. But it was a super great day. I'm glad you guys came along. For those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. Welcome. This is Whitefish Point. Super excited to be getting a vehicle here. Hopefully in the next couple days, if the Lord opens the door for me to get one that I found last night, then I'll have something with all-wheel drive. I can't wait to get back to Vermilion to make another video. But until then, thank you for tuning in to Upper Peninsula Beautiful. Have a wonderful day. And remember, seek and ye shall find.